As he played against the athletes with intellectual disabilities, it did feel pretty messed up. Carlos knew that he wasn't meant to be there. He didn't have a disability, but he still somehow convinced himself that he was doing the right thing. See, from the moment the Sydney 2000 Paralympics began, the Spanish team had dominated basketball ID. They shattered the Japanese team 87-20, and as they continued against the other teams in their group, Spain was unstoppable. Of course, Carlos wasn't surprised. After all, he'd played semi-professional basketball throughout his youth against some of the best players in Spain. So even though he was up against the best Paralympic competitors in the world, he still knew it was an unfair fight. But he had made it this far, and it still seemed like nobody suspected a thing. Heck, the Spanish team's own captain, Ramon Torres, didn't even know what Carlos was hiding. So Carlos felt like if he could just get to the end of the games without getting caught, he could fly back home and finally make everything right. As the games continued, Spain remained unbeaten, and they even made it into the finals against Russia. But the final game was much more competitive than the ones that came before. Russia put up a really strong fight, surprisingly strong, Carlos felt. He could tell that he wasn't the only one faking a disability at this Paralympic Games. However, despite the fight, the Spanish team came away with the win. Captain Ramon Torres was overjoyed. He couldn't believe what his team had accomplished. But as Carlos awkwardly accepted his completely undeserved Paralympic gold medal and the press cameras flashed, the biggest secret that Carlos had ever kept in his life was about to be front page news. As a matter of fact, Carlos was going to make sure of it, because, as it turns out, he wasn't the only person in the Spanish team who had faked their disability, but he was the only person who had supposedly done it for a noble reason. Tap here to see how the truth eventually unraveled.